My name is Pat McGill. I was born in Napier, 29th of 9th, 1926. It was after the war, as Norman Kirk inferred. The migration of Maori came into the towns to seek for work. Norman Kirk described it as the greatest migration of people since the arrival of the canoes, and we weren't prepared for this migration. This interview really is about preventing other younger people in our community of Napier from going to prison. And this is more than a possibility, because the mother is setting up a group from her experience and is going to work with those in our community who are at risk. Up till now, most resources that come into the community are either going into police or prisons or women's refuges. Very little support money goes into earlier intervention. I'm going to interview a mother and daughter today. The mother was in Arahata prison.
In 1998 was the second time I was sent to prison, and this prison term changed my thinking, thoughts and patterns and my behaviour. And me saying that, I realised that it wasn't the actual prison that I was incarcerated in, it was the prisons that I created within myself that I needed to free myself from. There was lots of work that I needed to do with myself. I hurt people in my family by being in prison, and especially my daughter. I felt that I had abandoned my daughter the second time. This lag was the lag that I needed to change. So what happened for me, I joined a group. I was asked to be part of a process which was a change process. I was enthusiastic about it because I knew that this will help me not only change the way I was, my behaviours on the outer, but also the behaviours and the prisons that I created within myself. So in doing this program with the women in prison, I found my first hurt. It was a hurt that I thought never existed. I didn't know that that hurt was there. My first hurt was when I was 2 years old, was when my grandfather passed away, and my second hurt was when I was 10 years old, and that's when I was sexually abused. 32 years old when I realised that was my first hurt, and then all the walls started breaking down after that. So because I created prisons within myself, so just the way was getting clearer and clearer and brighter. I could see happiness, and I could see myself on top of a mountain when I broke down all those barriers. And then I knew that I was ready to advocate other women who and children who were in the process of going to prison. I'm just glad that I did an intense program in Arahata Women's Prison, and then formed trust with a lot of actually all the women in prison. When I was released from prison, a thought came up about helping women who reintegrated into our community, because there was no support. I felt that there was no groups, no one I could relate to out in the outer here. So I travelled to Wellington to be with this group. Toi Whakaari, learn how to facilitate, go into women's prisons. Yeah, that was challenging, but in saying that, I saw that I could help other women or children, but still believe that the majority of the women that were in prison didn't need to be there. Just as long as they got the right support on the outer, then they wouldn't have done time. In breaking down the barriers within myself, I found happiness, and I felt that I needed to come back to my own community to advocate in Maraenui. But when I got back to Napier, there was no support groups, no one encouraging and helping women who reintegrate into our community.
Her first sentence I was 12, 11 going on 12, and the second time was 13 going on 14. Well, prison to me was for me. I remember visiting my dad in an 8-year prison, and then I remember visiting him in the Raukura prison. But yeah, little did I know there was one there for women. So finding out my mum was leaving us for 3 months. For me anyway, my baby brother, he was just born like 3 months old. I just felt empty and lost, and I was supposed to stay with my mum's baby sister, but I was back and forth to our empty house because, you know, like I say, my dad was out working, mum was in jail, and my baby brother lived down the road with my auntie and uncle. So yeah, I turned into a bit of a mischief little girl. And I remember one visit, which was a whānau day. My dad, myself and my brother drove from here to Wellington. We stayed with whānau, Purirua, and we got to see mum every day. Plus every night we watched her production with one of the groups that she joined. The time she came home, I kind of distanced myself from her. Like I like held a lot of stuff back. Just that I had, you know, drink alcohol and smoke dope and cigarettes and stuff like that. So I held that from her because I had a lot of hatred that, you know, how could you do this to us? But the second time I felt that she came home with a more positive attitude. Like, I strongly believe she realised that myself and my brother, you know, needed her. Oh, she's always a good mum, young mum. You know, I only remember my mum and then my dad, but always, you know, keeping me in line and making sure that I didn't follow in pathways or such. But just myself personally, I didn't want to, yeah, to go through any of that. So I decided, with the help of a lot of community support, especially our school, to walk another road. And as a child's perspective, that yeah, we need to get on board with our schools, our schools, our high schools, and yes, the health organisations as well. Like, I strongly support the W.A.R.S Raukura or Raukura O Maraenui, solely because, yeah, I saw mum come back home and, you know, try and find support out there, and there was just nothing in her needs, as well as the many other women who are in need who come out of prison. I believe our schools and our schools need to be exposed to these kind of women, you know, just as a, I say, like with my mum, an inspiration. Don't get me wrong, I've got a criminal record too. I'm not squeaky clean. And I've got, you know, bills up to my brain, but I just believe that it's like, and becoming a mother myself, that I realised, you know, I need to step up and make these changes slowly but surely, but more in order to, you know, create a brighter future for my babies. And yeah, I feel that a lot of our young generation, like myself, we've got a big whānau, so, you know, and all my young cousins and, well, my brother for starters, and then all the rest of my whānau, I feel that I've made a positive influence on them, although I'd like to do more, you know, which would be great in the near future, to advocate our young people and to, you know, just show them that there is a better way. Yeah.